Hey, Facebook. Hey, live stream. Hey, everybody out there watching. Glad to have you with us today. We're going to have a great conversation with somebody that we've worked with for a long time. As everybody knows, we've been talking about SEO lately. We've been talking about how much it costs. That was last week. What to expect, like really good SEO and all of that. But we've been working with someone for a long time that been doing a lot of different things, but one of the things that we do for him is SEO, and it was one of the first things that we needed to tackle for him way back in the day. So we wanted to share the history of that relationship and what that's looked like and how we've been able to help one particular person by the name of Mark Stoner and Ashbusters Chimney Service here in Nashville, Tennessee. So Mark, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Glad you're here, man.
Yeah.
I know there's lots of questions we could ask, but I mean, you've been with us a long time.
Before your name was Spark Marketer.
Yeah, right. I mean, you were sort of, instrumental in helping us clarify for, what we really wanted to focus on and the kinds of businesses that we really wanted to be able to help. So,
yeah, it's been a great ride. You guys have been an awesome, partner in my business and seen a lot of growth and seen a lot of changes. Obviously this marketplace or this landscape that you guys are in changes so much. And before you guys, I was trying to do it all myself and getting lost in the weeds. So thank God for you guys.
Well, I appreciate that. Let me tell you, we are glad that we found you, hopefully as much as you're glad you found us. How's that?
That's fair. I hope so. But yeah, you guys have been a key to my our business growth and to our strategy and to what we always plan on doing. You guys are kind of the bedrock of our marketing plan. No matter kind of where I try to go in marketing, you guys are kind of the level one that we build off of. So thank you guys for being such great partners in this chimney world.
Well, thank you. So I want to go back a little bit because the landscape's really changed since we first started working together. So, where people start today is not anything like where they started in 2010. So let's go back there because a lot of people go, so you all were really instrumental. I think there were two things that happened at the same time. And so I want to give a little bit of credit to some of the stuff that happened that really bolstered your business in 2010, because that's also when we had the flood and Saver Systems was there and you had made a television commercial.
Yeah.
So that really kind of got you going a little bit. And then at the same time, we had built a new website. Do you remember how many websites you had back then before we built the one?
I think there was like 3 or 4, if I remember right. There was, because I kept making them,
Yeah.
and then I would like forget about it, or somebody else would make one. That was it too.
Yeah.
We were hiring companies that said, hey, we'll give you a free website if you'll do X. And like the Verizon and the phone companies were trying to get into website building. And so next thing I know, I had multiple websites because they bought different names, like different URLs for me, for them.
Yeah.
And I had a mess going on for sure.
Well, one of the things that people don't realize back in the day is there was this play that people were saying what you need is multiple websites in multiple areas to go target multiple keywords and yada, yada, yada. And which was really the wrong thing to do.
Yeah, it was buy as many names, even by your competitors' names, by all these URLs and all the cities you're in, and have a website for them. And man, what a mess that became.
Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah.
Well, you weren't the only one that we had to clean up from that mess. So
I know, thank God.
No, it was the strategy du jour, if you will. It was what everybody was trying, and there were some signs that it was working, which is why everybody jumped on that bandwagon. But Google said, "Nah, guys, this isn't going to work. This is not what we're doing."
Yeah, and it did. Yeah.
I have this theory behind it. I think what Google in the beginning said, oh, this is great. Yeah, we'll just let them make all these websites. And then every time a website would go up, they would have to index it. And then people started doing it in mass, and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is not going to work. We can't make this right." So,
Well, and as a business owner, like, that became your guys' business. But as a business owner, I'm doing 100 other things. And I'm just trying to listen to what anybody tells me to do so I can check that box and put it away so I can work on something else. And, it was when you guys came in later and go, "Hey, what's your strategy?" And like, yeah, that's probably not working like you think it is. Because I wasn't really watching it. I was it's just shooting everything. Phone's ringing enough. I really don't know why. And it wasn't until you kind of looked into my stuff and said, "Hey, by the way, you got a problem over here. We can fix this." And it really helped me focus more on business, actually.
well, and in marketing too, if you've got one place where people go to find out everything about you, I mean, that's the best thing to do because they're not hunting around either.
Yeah, I mean, that was the Yellow Pages, right? For us early on, how big of an ad do you want to buy? And then when the Yellow Pages fell down, the marketing world exploded into 1,000 pieces. So you could be found everywhere. And now then, because you could be found everywhere, you had to try to be everywhere, which just became really, now it feels to me like it's simplified down. There is a game, a very specific game you have to win. You can play a lot of other games on the side, but you have to win the internet in a certain way now, seems like.
Well, and the reality is, and this is where I think SEO comes into play. So search engine optimization in its purest form is somebody goes and puts a term or a phrase in or says, "I have a problem and it's X." And then Google tries to solve that problem for them to match them with the perfect company or business and puts those two things together to give them the best solution for what they're looking for. I mean,
Right.
that is search engine optimization in a nutshell.
Right.
So when you are able to look at it that way and say, "Oh, okay, so what am I solving? What are the problems that I'm solving for my customer?"
Right.
So once you answer those, it's really easy. That is the most long-term sustainable thing you can do online and off.
Right. Yeah, so at first, my story where I was buying a lot of keywords myself. And I always like to tell this story because it was an eye opener for me as somebody who felt like I was on the front cutting edge of things. One of the keywords I bought was chimney. And you're like, chimney, that's pretty broad word. And I was going through a lot of money per month. And you're like, you looked at it and said, "Let me just see how this word is working for you." And it was like, you came back to me, and this was, 10 years ago. And you're like, you've wasted 50 to 60, maybe $70,000 on this word that did not even get you one phone call. They bounced on your website, realized it was something wrong, and went on. And I was paying all that money. And that was one of your first one of my aha moments. Dabbling in this with a lot of money is probably you need a strategy. You need somebody that knows what they're looking at, can gauge what you're doing, and then move the strategy along with the results. And a lot of us chimney guys, and I know there's a lot of guys out there still do their own stuff. I don't know how many do it, but it's such a complex game anymore that that you can waste a lot of money in an instant, especially over a year, if you don't really track it and know how. Again, you guys got into marketing too because you could make the phone ring, but then what do you do with the phone call once it comes into your business? And can you sell? Can you present? Are you picking up the phone? Are you answering the emails? Like, the whole thing is a much bigger deal than just making the phone ring.
Yeah. And in marketing, that's been, as a service for other companies, the tendency is to think, well, like you said, I just got to check this box, right? So I've got this partner, I just started working with this company and we've signed a year-long contract. So that's done. I can, focus on other things. And so they go away not really paying attention to what's happening in terms of the marketing. And that's really, I mean, the moment you sign with a marketing company, that's just the first step. That's just the beginning, right? Then all the measuring has to happen in order to decide whether or not that investment with that marketing company is actually bringing you those results and everything else. And that's
in finding the message, right? It's not just I hired this company. Like, what is the message that's going to work? So you got to give the marketing company some time to get some footing to know what works for you, and what doesn't work. And so that's another thing I think a lot of people miss. They want to give it 30 days and see if it works. Well, that's, to me, almost not how any marketing works anymore.
Yeah, one of the things that I have always really respected about you, and there's a couple of other owners, more than a couple. There's probably in our group more than a lot of others. But we have had people in the past that have hired us and given us a check, and then they just disappear. I mean, we can't get them on the phone. They don't answer emails. They don't, and it really is a relationship. I mean, people think because I live in Nashville, Tennessee, that I just know what you want just through osmosis, I think, I tell people all the time, I mean, you just got off a trip, and I had 3 emails from you that came to Corey, which is your account owner, this morning, asking me some questions, about different things, all regarding your marketing. So, you are involved. That's what I want to really. So talk about, why do you stay involved with marketing? Why is it something that you feel compelled to be involved with?
Well, to me, it's I went to school for marketing, and I didn't get a degree in it, but I went to it because I was always interested in, how do I make people call me for service? And I remember the first time I got a phone call from a marketing effort, which was like a Yellowpages thing, and people called me, and I'm like, wow, like if I do X, then I can get a phone call, and then I can be in business. And I was always interested in it. And for you now, for you guys as a partner, I can reach out to you and say, hey, why is this happening? Have you seen this? Do you know about that? Like, it's a partnership. And you guys know, because sometimes I flood you. You don't hear from me, and then I flood you because I'm focused on it, and I'm trying to check those boxes and then focus over here. And you guys are very responsive. Here comes Mark. He's coming. But and I just think we learn from each other too. I'll say, hey, this is working, or hey, this isn't looking right, or you'll say, hey, this is why. You got to be patient, or you got to watch this. So I'm involved in it because, to me, if that phone doesn't ring, I don't have a business. If that phone doesn't ring, I have not kept my promise to my employees. And my job is to make sure they have a job, and one of them is you guys helping me make the phone ring, and then all the other metrics can kick in, and all the other services I provide, good phone service, good guys on the truck, all that kicks in. But if that phone doesn't ring, if I don't get them in the door to at least, then that's my fault. That's what I have to make sure happens as the CEO of the company, to then let all the other services kick in and all the other specialties happen. And then ideally make a profit at the end, which is always the trick, right?
Always the trick. Yeah, that's it.
But that's why I'm involved in it.
So go back a little bit. I'm curious. Did you even know what search engine optimization marketing was when you started?
I don't think I knew that term. I think I knew Google is the place to be. You've got to show up there. It's a listing service. You've got to show up in the list. I've quickly picked up on reviews being very important.
Mm-hmm.
And then keywords, like, I just knew to buy certain words, almost like, the auction. But kind of what you guys taught me was, all that's great, but you also need to show up organically without paying for everything. And if you can show up there, you kind of start to win the internet. And then the map pack came later. Mm-hmm. But you guys helped me understand that, one, you can't just push a button and be at the top of SEO. It's a long process of optimization and being relevant and changing and staying up. And then after a while, you pop up to the top. The good thing about it for us, we've been at the top so long that it's hard to knock us off. And if somebody does knock us off, it's not very long. It's like down and back up. Like it's almost like I've said it before. It's like the foundation to our whole business is that search engine optimization. I can do everything off of that. And like I can brand, I can market, I can do magazines, I can do trucks, I can do billboards, but it all comes back to that SEO. You got to show up there, because I've seen people do a lot of TV, but they don't show up in Google right. And I'm like, oof, what a waste of you have to have, this is base level now. You can't really build a good business without it.
Yeah, all roads lead there. So
yeah,
when
you better be there.
Exactly.
Because I can tell you this, some people advertise, like TV or magazines, but we end up getting their business because they went to the internet and found us with good reviews. They found us. They don't remember the name of the company, but if you aren't found there, I see all kinds of people wanting to do TV and radio and stuff, but they don't have a good Google presence. Like, you're helping the guys who do have a good Google presence.
And that's one of the things that people just don't realize. Yeah. It's that it's like building a house on sand.
Right.
If you do things in the wrong order, then everything that you build on eventually kind of crumbles. And if you're relying on ads right now, because that's what I will tell you right now, 90 to 95% of all businesses are relying on ads because they have not put the money into SEO because they think it's too expensive. And the reality is it's the best money you'll ever spend.
It really is, because it also is like an investment. It differently than other marketing things. If I do a coupon or something, it hits and goes away. When you invest in the SEO part of it, like it builds. Google wants to have good companies that have been around a long time. So when they do a search engine result that they've given you the best of in your area. And it feels like to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the longer you stay invested with a strategy like that, Google tends to like that and reward you from it. Now I know at any moment Google changes the rules, but right now for us, I've just noticed that we've been locked into that number one position in so many ways for just kind of doing the same thing over and over and over again.
And that's what we do. SEO is doing the same exact thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And it allows you to turn ads on and off as you need.
Yeah.
And sometimes, it's like you said, you're on TV at times, but most of the time I see your competitor.
Yeah.
But
he doesn't show up right in Google.
It's exactly right, because I've looked.
It's so funny.
but I mean, it's true. So, and if you look at, consumers and how they behave, what ends up happening is almost 100% of the time, they're going to the internet. They're going to look at reviews. They're going to look at your website. They're going to look at your Facebook. And if they see something else, we're like that. I'll go online to look at a certain pair of shoe and another shoe comes up and I'm like, oh, that looks cool. Boop. Yeah. And I'm off and I don't even think about the first shoe.
Totally. Well, so one of the first times I ever noticed this was in 2010, and you were talking about the We Fix Leaky Chimney campaign. I had done some marketing about it. I learned from John Meredith kind of how to do the service better. So then I started marketing it, and it started really working. It started becoming one of the more profitable campaigns we ever ran. Me and John got out there and told everybody, hey, We Fix Leaky Chimneys is a real thing, helps your business be more year round. So I showed my commercials. I showed all the things I did. And one of these companies did what I did. They almost copied how everybody copied everything I had at first. Well, what happened was he called me back and he's like, man, I'm running these TV commercials and nothing's working. It's not working at all for me. And he was in a rainy area. And I did a quick search on his company and he had 2.5 star rating. And I said, well, man, you've got to anchor on your marketing because you're not showing up. But when you do show up, it's got a bad reviews. He never even paid attention to that. And this was several years ago, but you can do, if you have bad reviews or you're not found on the internet, all your other marketing, you can think it's not working, but it actually might be working for somebody else. They're like, oh, I need chimney work done. And they find whoever ranks best and not you. So that's what was happening to him. And I said, man, you've got to fix that before you can do the TV ads. Before you can do all the branding, you better make sure the brand looks good on the internet.
Yeah. We always say that marketing is just a megaphone and it'll amplify whatever you hold it up to.
Yeah.
So if your
business, I will say, this, I freaking hate Yelp because they are not fair. Yeah. That whole game is a mess. But anyway, other than that, we're talking about Google. I appreciate Google and all the other standard, ranking systems.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about because we've heard from a lot of different people that that SEO is just terribly expensive, and we just remind them. Remember the days of the Yellowpages?
Gosh,
I mean, and how much money you could spend just on Yellowpages ads. What was the shift like? I mean, I'm always curious to hear, like, in this market with your business, there's that transition period where it was like 80% Yellowpages, 20% online marketing. And then it became, reversed, 20% Yellowpages, 80% online to, of course, now it's almost 100%. I mean, none of it is Yellowpages, but what was that shift like? And when did you realize that the mix needed to change for you?
Well, if you remember how expensive the whole game was, how big could the ad be? And then Yellowpages had all these other games that if you first year you got all these discounts, and if you got into more areas, they gave you all, and then all of a sudden it all came home to roost and your bill just got gigantic. And if they made one mistake in it, phone number is wrong or anything, you're done for the year. Also, you had to try to tell everybody everything at once. Like on this page, you had to kind of puke all over the page and tell them all your services. And then the game was just who's the biggest and how many pages could you take up. And when the internet came out, oops, my microphone moved. When it came out, I just quickly, I wasn't using the Yellowpages anymore. So I'm like, are people going to use this book and find things? And to me, it was about the time I met you guys too. And I'm like, that's not where the future is. There may be some work in it, but they're not early adopters. Those kind of people are probably on the backside of things. I want to work with the fast moving people that have a kind of more different sense of urgency. And so that shift wasn't hard because I kind of hated the Yellowpages too. As you guys know, Verizon was in the Yellowpage business, and they're also in the website business, and they messed me up really badly without going into it. You guys know the situation because you got me out of it. And I'm like, I'm done with all these Yellowpages guys. It's a scam. It's a racket. They seem to have different prices depending on who you talk to, and different. It wasn't clear and transparent to me. And also with your website, you can change your message as you need to. You could turn it on, turn it off. You could control it better than this. Here's the big fat budget, and next year it's going to be 20% more. And for people to think this part is expensive, most people back in the day, 10 years ago, spent at least what they're spent on SEO every month on Yellowpages, which wasn't as good. Like I remember people spending $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month on advertising in Yellowpages. Like, to know something is, 5 to 10,000, 10 to 15 years later for what it does. Oh, this is funny. But yeah, it's a different game. It's much more controllable, much more transparent. You can rank what you're getting, what you're not getting. And so I became a big fan pretty quick.
Yeah, I think it's been a while since I've sold this way, but I sold a lot of our business in the beginning of just looking at people's Yellowpages spend, because it's like, oh yeah,
I think you did something like that with me initially. You said, hey, what are you spending here? I could do this and this and this for that kind of money, and I guarantee you get a better result.
Yours was on AdWords. You were doing your own AdWords.
Yeah.
I looked into your AdWords spend and almost fainted and said, oh, yeah, we could. Just give us that.
Give me that budget. I'll do a lot more with it. Was
And,
basically your pitch.
yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
And I did some of those pitches with Yellowpages too. So
yeah. I mean, I think, always you have to be looking for the new thing with a foot in the past because, but some people stayed in Yellowpages way too long because, it's like a safety blanket and the internet was this thing. But now, we got to watch for the next thing. I'm always watching for the next thing that makes sense for our customers. And not everything does make sense, right? So, we haven't had a ton of success in like LinkedIn or no, I don't think anybody's really figured out TikTok yet. Facebook for a while, as you know, was a big thing. All of a sudden it started to really go with Google like head to head. And then to me lately, it's kind of faded back down. Google has reemerged for me as more of a solid play.
Yeah.
It's always moving. And that's why I like you guys, because you guys are going to tell me what's going on. I don't have time for it.
Well, I'll tell you, the thing that's going on right now is all around privacy. That's one of the reasons that Facebook has kind of backed off now. The privacy issues with iOS and some of the things that happened with Apple. And now everybody is kind of, instead of playing nice together like they started to there for a while, everybody is kind of freaking out and going into these walled gardens.
Yep.
So that one of the things you said that back in the day you were trying to be everywhere. Well, it's going to be like that for a while because you're going to have to be in Facebook and be in Instagram and be in LinkedIn and be in all these places and be able to navigate that and bring all those messages into one place, which is what the customer engine does.
Oh, okay.
So that's something that you haven't experienced with, but you're going to real shortly.
I'm excited.
Just do a little customer engine plug here.
Yeah.
But those are the things that you're going to have to start doing because now you're going to want the one-to-one to your customer, your current customer. So as you go out and get more customers to maintain those communications.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing. People don't remember who you are. So if you're not talking to them on a one-to-one basis during the year, when the time comes for service, they're out on the internet trying to find you again.
And they're so quick to move. Loyalty with customers is a lot about speed, how fast you can get to them. Like they may have been using you for 10 years, but if you can't get to them for 3 weeks or 4 weeks and the other guy can, they'll jump so fast, you'll make your head spin. You can't believe that you lost this customer. I can't tell you how many times, my whole game is speed. So, and when we lose a customer over speed, I hate that. And like we did all great work for them, never a problem. But just because somebody could come quicker or be $10 cheaper, I would lose them. People say, well, that was never your customer. Well, they were our customer. So we could not meet the demands of today, which is super hard in business. But my game is how fast can we get to you? And there's a weird thing happening right now. And we're slightly slower than we normally have been with phone calls right now. And my people are like, the phone calls aren't, we're still booked out a couple weeks. I'm like, that's all that matters. Don't worry. I don't want to be booked out a month. I don't want to be that's what some people are, I'm sure. But I like this speed game because I don't know if you were listening to my Facebook Live a couple weeks ago where somebody was talking about, I think it was Alan Rush, talking about the people who need to go fast are the ones who'll spend more money. The people that can wait on you for a month, 2 months, 3 months, when you get to their house, there's no rush. Like he saw a reduction in price in closing ratios of people who would wait forever for a service. And the people who won't wait, the close ratio's up, and so is the number of the money they spent. So that's the customer I want. That's the game I want to play.
Well, and that's true. Yeah, and that's when I tell people sometimes they see the $99, $79 guys. It's like, let them have the people that want to do that. Let them have those. Let those people go. That's not your customer.
They might suck up. We were talking about this earlier. Might suck up some air at first because everybody's calling them. But then all of a sudden they can't provide service. They're terrible. And then I always like the second opinion. I always like being called. I want to be ranked well, but I'd rather be ranked well and come in after somebody came in if I can. because their closing ratio goes way up. They teed it up for you. But see, that happens to us too. We tee it up for a lot of people, and people come in behind us and cut us on price. It's just the game we got to play. But yeah, speed to me is where the future is in all service. Like if you can win the speed game, you can make a lot of money and also, grow, which we have quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. So Carter, we're at 30 minutes.
Yeah, we are. Last question, Mark, and we'll end it here. I'm curious what you'd tell people watching who, you've probably encountered people like this that are like, yeah, it's just too much money for SEO, and you got to wait too long to see any results, and it's too hard to show, how it's working and whether or not you're getting a return. I'm just gonna I'm gonna play a different game. I'm gonna use AdWords or whatever in order to do it. What would you tell somebody who isn't investing in SEO for those kinds of reasons? Like looking back, what would you say?
Well, looking back, I can't imagine having that mindset, honestly. It's never been part. Once I learned that all roads tied back to SEO, and I'm into marketing a lot. Like, why would you? It's like taking the keystone out of an arch, like it is where it holds everything up. And so, and if you ever stop doing it, it's like you've lost ground. And so for me, as you guys know, I just have to start there. And so in all the marketing we do, and I've taught a lot about marketing because there's a way to do marketing, but it is very much a building block process. You've got to do these things first before you do these higher level things. And all the great companies have the bases covered. Well, in service businesses, SEO is the base. It is the base. You can run AdWords up and down, but you have to have the base and then springboard off of it. So to me, the cost is what the cost is. So, if you have a price increase, which everybody has to have a price increase, I just have to adjust my company to meet that, because you can't take that away from it. It's like taking a wheel off your car. Like, you can't run. You think you might be able to run on the rim for a while, but you need the wheels, to all be there to then to run an effective, vehicle, and in this case, service business. And so if people have that argument, I need to talk to them, because I've never seen that work. And I think we got a pretty good track record of growing responsibly in a good way. And I have methods that, and a lot of companies in this country copied what we did, and they were getting similar results. So why not just do what the other guys did and then change when you get to their size or bigger? But some people are trying to game the system. I think you pay a price you don't. Tim Reed said this perfectly a couple of weeks ago. He said, when business is all up, when the economy's up, everybody's feeling like they're the smart guys and they know how to do it. And then when the tide goes back out, you see who was skinny dipping. And that happens. And the thing that you have to do, in my opinion, is make sure these bases are covered, which are good business practices, whether we have a high economy or low economy. You have to do certain things all the time. And to me, your guys' service and specifically SEO is what, as is my cornerstone to the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, appreciate that. And it's always good to talk to you about it. You're somebody who made investments early in your business to grow, and just to get to be a part of those investments and a part of the strategy that you would just kind of give us hands off to run and do what we knew we could do for you. Was just it honestly was part of what convinced us that we were in the right industry, that if there were more people who were open to allowing us to build and do and implement a strategy that could take them to the next level, that, it'd be a heck of a lot more enjoyable than what we were doing. So, well,
you helped a lot of industries understand. You took some of the, some of the stuff off their plate so they could focus on business. And so you guys have a really good track record with a lot of chimney companies that have, if you go back to micromanaging stuff, that's a different deal. But for me, I let you guys run, and we get the results, and we've played a good game. It's allowed me to have a whole different life these days. You guys knew me back when I was in a truck and doing all the work, and it's a different life at 55 than it was at 35.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a hell of a ride, and we look forward to growing with you even more. And thanks for coming on and just talking a little bit about your journey with us.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for everything you guys do.
So, guys, give us a like, a little bit of love. Let Mark know that he is always invited back anytime as a guest or a participant. And to let you know, Spark Live, we have a podcast. It's on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, your favorite player. And next week, oh my gosh, we're going to get back to negative comments on social media because, boy, we've had some doozies lately. So we're gonna tackle that. So thanks, everybody, for being here. We will see you next week. Same time.